Helen, a middle-aged woman with a hardened expression, lives alone in a decaying house. She complains about the heat, the rain, the noise of children, the price of bread, the neighbors, God, and life itself. Her voice echoes through the rooms like a constant lament. Nothing pleases her. Everything irritates her. When she goes to bed, she keeps muttering,
"Nothing in this world is any good."
Some say words are seeds, and Helen sows thorns. Every word of resentment that leaves her mouth is like a curse cast upon the world. What she does not know is that the world, silent and patient, is listening. In that house, suffocated by worn-out walls, Helen nurtured a quiet ritual, murmuring against everything. The shadows that once merely listened began to imitate her voice, and each complaint released into the air made the atmosphere heavier, as if the darkness itself were growing accustomed to the taste of the poison she spread. At midnight, Helen's bedroom begins to breathe like a sleeping wolf. The shadows slide along the walls with the slow movement of something awakening after years of hunger. Then, very close to her ear, a hoarse voice emerges. So much like her own, it seems born of her very flesh, whispering,
"Nothing in this world is any good."
The voice comes neither from outside nor from within. It rises from that place where the mind fractures and fear takes root. From that moment on, Helen's sleep ceases to be rest and becomes a vast hunting ground, and she will not be the hunter. When she finds herself inside the dream, the night feels more alive than she is. Fog crawls along the ground like an old secret, and every grave that rises around her bears a name that shifts before her eyes. Not the names of the dead, but sentences torn from her own mouth, carved into stone like an epitaph written in advance. As she walks, the wind repeats her laments in the voice of something that has never had lungs, blowing back the same words she scattered throughout her life. And then she realizes the cemetery is not a place she was taken to. It is a place that has been built within her for a very long time. When Helen reaches the center of the cemetery, the fog seems to gain weight, as if the darkness itself were holding its breath to witness what will happen next. That is when she sees a figure, shaped not by flesh, but by the accumulation of everything she poured into the world. Twisted shadows, hardened smoke, fossilized murmurs. The shadow grows, and the wind falls silent. Even the moon seems to retreat. It is not a spirit. It is not a demon. It is a mirror, alive, made of everything she offered to life. And when the creature leans toward her, Helen realizes, too late, that she is not facing a haunting, but the fruit of her own complaints. When dawn finally breaks, bringing with it that pale light that never warms, the gravediggers find Helen kneeling before a newly set headstone. They assume it to be a delusion, but on her face there is something that neither illness nor human terror can produce. An empty expression, as though she were no longer there. Then, before the stunned eyes of the men, the impossible happens. Helen's flesh stiffens, sinks inward, crumbles, and with a sigh colder than the dawn itself, her body dissolves into dust, as if the earth were reclaiming her from the inside out. The gravediggers, men hardened by every kind of death, never speak of what they witnessed that morning. They learned only one lesson, one that silence repeats better than any mouth. No one disappears without leaving a trace, except those who spend their lives disappearing behind their own complaints.